The character writing in Tower of God is one of the most praised aspects along with the world building. And I have to say, just from personal experience, I have fallen in love with so many of these characters. This is no small feat because Tower of God does have a pretty deep roster, and that's kind of a double-edged sword. Sure, if you throw so much out there, something's bound to stick, but if there's too much out there, then there's not much room for anything else. I think the best way to talk about the character writing is to actually retread my own journey with the series up until now. I'll keep it spoiler free for the anime onlys before switching over to spoilers, and don't worry, I'll definitely give a fair warning. I'll give my top 10 characters from the first season before moving on to my top 10 where I'm currently at. And by the end I will have talked about why some placements have changed and why some people got knocked off entirely. Now let's jump in. The anime only list is made with the entirety of season 1 in mind. I just won't spoil any of the events that haven't happened yet. At number 10 we have Ponsiko Rawe. And before I say anything else, fuck this name. I had to go to the Tower of God Wikipedia just to see if I was pronouncing it right, and even then I'm pretty sure I'm not pronouncing it even close to right at all. But the main reason most people are going to remember this guy is because of the gimmick of him having to sleep all the time, and also that he's insanely talented and powerful. Now while both of those aspects are cool, I don't think either of them make him a good character. I would definitely have to give that credit to the gradual growth of bonds between him and his teammates. Now this isn't something that's exclusive to him, the vast majority of the main cast goes through this. What puts Ponsiko apart from everyone else is the degree in which he changed. He goes from not caring at all to being pretty invested in the lives and success of his teammates. In pretty much the same boat we have Hats at number 9. He's pretty talented from the first time that we see him, and he's definitely similar to Ponsiko in the way that he was distant at first and then he slowly came closer and closer to his teammates. I would definitely say that the glaring differences between Ponsiko and Hats happen to do with who they get close to. Rawe only really gets close to Bam in the first season, while Hats gets close to Anak and Shibisu. And of course by the end he's caring for pretty much everybody involved within that little group that they have. At number 8 I have Ho, and it's definitely not because she's a fan favorite character or even that I like her even a little bit. I just think that her struggles are very well written. On top of not being able to do really anything because she lacks any talent, she also ends up getting manipulated, and this does eventually lead to her death. While I never really liked her, I do think that her character is definitely tragic, and I think that at least deserves some credit. Someone that differs from her completely is Shibisu, who I have at number 7. Throughout the entirety of the first season, or at least for the most part anyway, Shibisu is seen as the humor or the comedic relief, with a few hints of intelligence. And he really does have some of the best interactions with anybody that we see in the show. The dynamic that he had with Serena was always entertaining, and the way he contrasted with Anak and Hats was always interesting. I would definitely go as far to say that Shibisu was a fan favorite in at least season 1. At number 6 we have Ledodo. There was this really weird comparison going around for a long time saying that Ledodo was at least similar to Hisoka, and I just don't see that being true in any way. And I'm betting it's really shallow because my guess is that it's based on the fact that they have makeup on their face. But Leto here was interesting right off the bat because he's the first ranker that we see within the Tower of God series. And given his position as examiner, this puts him in direct conflict with our characters. But he ranks this high because of what happens when he's investigating the problems that occur within the second floor. The whole situation layers him as a character, while at the same time it's really nice to see the fact that he really cares about the regulars. At number 5 we have Rak, and Rak's here just because at first he comes off as this brute that just wants to fight all the time like he's Kenpachi Zaraki or something like that, but then the entire time he's used as comedic relief and it just works so well. And despite him trying his best to hide it, he really does care for all the turtles. At number 4 we have Yu Han Sung, and at first I thought this character was a chick. For like the longest time I thought this character was a female character. Turns out it's a whole ass dude. He's a really mysterious character, and with that mystery comes spoilers, so I'm not really going to talk about him that much. And in third place we have Endorsi, and she's without a doubt, for at least the first season anyway, she's definitely best girl. Her character is so deeply tied with pretty much all of the events that occur within this first season. Her motivations make sense, and her interactions whenever she talks to a character, they're always engaging. It's just that every time she's on screen you want to learn more about this character. This same type of feeling comes off with who I have in second place, that being obviously Kun. Now, I think the biggest surprise here is that I'm pretty sure most people expected me to put him in first place, but I just don't think I can really do that. For me, I think his character excels in almost every way except for his dedication to Bam. I don't think that makes any sense at all. But like I said, aside from the reasoning, I love his character and the way that he's written. His character is extremely intelligent in the most sneaky way. I mean, pretty much every time I pick up this series to read it, I'm excited to see whatever strategy Kun has in mind. His character is incredibly mysterious, and you can tell that there's just a lot of dark stuff hiding in his past, so you really want to learn more about that. So yeah, when it comes to Kun, the only thing I can really complain about is the reasoning for his dedication to Bam. But since number one wasn't Kun, I'm pretty sure that everybody knows that Anak is definitely my number one when it comes to season one at least. She's just the character we learn the most about. We see her past and why she wants to climb the tower. Out of all the characters within the first season, she's without a doubt the most fleshed out. But heading into where I'm at in the webtoons, this is where I'm going to be getting into heavy spoilers. If you're reading the manhwa or the webtoon, whatever you want to call it, and you want to know where I'm at, that way you don't get anything spoiled for you, I'm at the end of the Hidden Floor arc, so that's where I'm at. I can't spoil anything after that because I haven't gotten that far. So starting off my top 10 for who I think is the best written characters up until the Hidden Floor arc, at number 10 I have Enyinetta. Now the thing about Enyinetta is that he's contained to only one arc, so he doesn't have a lot of that existing history that so many of these other characters have. And in all honesty, in this case, I think it works to his benefit. There's no real disappointment with his character because as soon as he serves his purpose, he's gone. And there's a lot of really neat details about him. He is from the REA family, so of course, that relates him to White or Joaquin, whatever you want to call him. And this does give us a little bit more depth into how that family works. Because Enyinetta is essentially this bastard son that nobody really cares about. And him going off on his own is what eventually led him to the name-stealing floor. He also has this really interesting personality. He reminds me a lot of Seijiro Yoshioka from Vagabond. And that personality of his, of course, gets him into plenty of fights when he's not really supposed to be getting into any fights. His fight versus Rak and Ran. I thought his fight versus Rak was going to be really cool, but it was mostly off screen, and so Rak basically lost off screen. I think that was a terrible idea to do. But his fight with Ran is one of the best, if not the best fight in the series, if you ask me. And at number 9, this is going to surprise, I think a lot of people. I have Daniel. He's also contained to only one arc, that being the Hell Train arc. And his role in this arc, it's just done so well. I mean, he has so many connections to pretty much all the characters involved. Boro, Akka, Hachi, all these characters, they're very much connected to him. And I can see why some people wouldn't like his character, because pretty much his ambition is to negate someone's sacrifice. I mean, I remember how much shit everyone gave Sasuke because he wanted to destroy Konoha because Itachi wanted to save it, so obviously people didn't like that. Our boy Daniel here did something infinitely worse. Sasuke, if he were to destroy the Leaf Village, he would probably kill, I don't know, a couple thousand people maybe. Joaquin or White, whatever you want to call him, he would kill billions. So yeah, I would definitely say Daniel is not making exactly the right decision here. And that's a big reason why I like his character. He does know the whole time that what he's doing is wrong, and he doesn't really want to do it, but he sees it as his only choice. And eventually he grows to see what he was doing was completely wrong, and he no longer goes through with it. Which I guess in the end he fucks up big time, because not only does he revive Joaquin or White, whatever you want to call him, but Rowan doesn't even get revived, so it was all pretty much pointless. But still, I think his character was written very well. Now at number 8, I can see a lot of people just getting a little bit upset about this. We have Rak, and Rak barely changes at all from the first season. And the only new information we get about him is a hint of what his ancestors might be. But it's still Rak, and of course he's going to make my top 10, but I just can't put him any higher. And at number 7, we have Yurik Mazino. And throughout the entire story of Tower of God, there's no character with as much of a presence as Yurik. Now this might be a little controversial, but I don't even think Zahad matches him. We see fully grown Zahad at the end of the Hidden Floor arc, and that didn't even feel half as impactful as when Yurik first appeared. And it's really hard to top Yurik's first appearance, so I can't really even blame Zahad for that. I mean, Yurik had one of the best first appearances that I've ever seen. But aside from all that, I think Yurik's relationship with Graham is one of the best. Maybe not best, but I really do personally like it. Now, another character that dropped is Endorsi, and she's at number 6. And this is in big part due to her dedication to Bam. It just gets really annoying sometimes. I mean, Bam can pull for no reason, and as a reader, it does get frustrating sometimes when that jeopardizes other characters. But it's not all bad. We do find out her whole origin story on how she became a princess and how tragic it really is. And of course she does bully Rachel a lot, so those do make for some really entertaining moments. And with that personality of hers, she's definitely a Yuri in training. Speaking of Yuri, she's at my number 5. Unfortunately, she's another character dedicated to Bam for seemingly no reason at all. But when it comes to the good things, she has a presence that at least comes close to Yurik. I mean, she's definitely second place, even above Zahad for me. And that's maybe just because I don't think Zahad's all that. Power-wise, I'm sure he is, but when it comes to being a well-written villain, nah, I don't think so. And I do think that Yuri has the most enjoyable personality within the entire series, and that's why I'm excited to see how Endorsi grows, because like I said, Yuri just feels like a grown-up version of Endorsi. At number 4, I don't think this is going to shock anyone, and it's got to be Ran. Ran isn't the most layered character or anything, but he always steals the best fights, and he's largely mysterious. I mean, we really only see him every couple of arcs, but every couple of arcs he gets stronger and stronger, and on top of that, his personality does seem to change. So I definitely think he deserves this spot. At number 3, we have another member of the Kun family, that being, of course, Aguero Agnes Kun. He largely stayed the same since season 1, that's the case for a lot of the main cast, but his strategies have gotten significantly better and he bullies the living shit out of Rachel. So I think he's still a top tier character. At number 2, I have Wagman, and I think most people expected to see him on here, they just didn't know where. And he's definitely the struggler out of the group. If Bam has everything, this man practically has nothing. Bam protects everyone, Wagman can't protect anyone. But we get a lot of very large hints that his character is obviously going somewhere great. We just haven't seen it yet, or at least I haven't. And this is showcased very well with his connections to both Zahad and Karaka. And ending things on a brighter note, his relationship with Yua is one of my favorite in the series. Now, I don't think too many people saw her being my number 1, but at my number 1, I have Hwaryun. And to me, she's definitely the most mysterious character in the series. She's a member of Fug, and even though Fug uses Bam, she very clearly cares for him. Now, everyone refuses to trust her, especially in Dorsey. She trusts absolutely nothing she says. Of course, everyone doesn't trust her except for Bam, and he puts the entirety of his trust in her. And it's because it makes sense. She's always looking out for his best interest, even when she lies. She's the perfect guide. She points him in the best direction, but ultimately he decides everything that's going to happen. She just does her best to help with whatever decision he makes. Now I'm going to speed run comparing both of my lists. Heading down from 10 to 1 for the last time, Ponsicle and Enyineta. Ponsicle is completely dropped off the list because he loses every bit of relevancy he had. Enyineta dies, but every time he was on screen, I was completely engaged. I was really hoping he'd join the regulars, maybe just because I wanted to see him interact with Joaquin at least one time. I really wanted to put Hots in my later top 10 because his character is developed pretty well. And maybe I could replace Daniel or Enyineta with him, but I just don't think. That would be me being honest with myself. Daniel lives, but we don't really see him after the Hell Train arc, so like I said, he's kind of in the same boat as Enyineta. Ho dies in season 1, so of course she has absolutely no relevance in season 2. Rak's presence in the story is significantly cut down in season 2. He misses entire arcs, and even when he's in some arcs, his role is never crucial. Shibisu is in the same position as Hats. The two of them are without a doubt in my top 15, they just couldn't break the top 10. Ledodo is completely dropped from my second list because while he does show up in the workshop battle, besides that, we don't really see anything else involving his character. Yuhan Sung, I really like Yuhan Sung a lot, and I really wanted to put him in my top 10, but I honestly don't know if he's in my top 15. But I just got reminded how much I like him because we see his younger data version on the hidden floor. But before that, his character was barely mentioned in season 2. And Dorsey and Kun are both fan favorites, and that's for pretty good reasons. Both pretty much live and breathe Bam, and both bully the shit out of Rachel. But instead of comparing Kun to Dorsey, compare Kun to Wagman. Kun is extremely talented and gifted, even in season 1, while Wagman is weak and goes through seemingly endless suffering. I don't really understand why Kun is climbing the tower or his dedication to Bam. However, Wagman's ambition to climb the tower and why he values his teammates so much is made clear. It's almost transparent how clear it is. Comparing Anak and Hwaryun is pretty interesting to me. Anak is completely fleshed out while Hwaryun is largely mysterious. Unfortunately, Anak lost all of her relevance events after the workshop battle, while Hua Yun was only relevant for the Hidden Floor arc, and that was explained even before the arc started. Tower of God has a large roster, and SIU seems to have a difficult time balancing everyone's screen time, and that's completely understandable. This does happen with most long-running shonen series, and in my opinion, most of the main cast, despite the large amount of screen time they get, they don't develop as much as I would like. Another problem that I could see affect the series is without a doubt the power creep. Now, power creep is something that hurts a lot of long-running shonen like Tower of God, and the author did a great job keeping it from hurting the series for a long time. But BAM is starting to progress incredibly fast, and I don't see the majority of the season 1 cast keeping up with him, making them less and less relevant as the story goes on. Now, I do know that the last couple of points I made do seem rather negative, but I still think that the writing, especially for the characters in this show, is pretty incredible. And I'm trying to be as critical as I can, not out of malice or I hate the series, but because I actually really enjoy this series. But that's going to be pretty much it. Tell me what you guys thought in the comments below, and this is Remy, signing out.